Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
What is for me my favorite segment on a Wednesday morning? We're talking HR with HRMAB, and it's right on the cusp of a big event they had recently. Joining me is the president herself, Joan Underwood, along with two other bootcampers, Caroline John and Gabrielle Francis. Good morning, all.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good. Thank you so much for joining us. Joan, I hope you've had the rest because it was quite a boot camp from what I saw.
It was indeed. You know, when you lose rest, you never catch up, really,
Never.
do you? But I said, someone asked me, how do you feel? I was like, I'm exhausted, but so gratified. It
Yes.
went off exceptionally well.
I've seen so many wonderful stories coming out of it, and it really pleases me to know that we've been able now to not just shine the spotlight on HR, but to be able to shine the spotlight in such a way that we see the true benefits thereof. And so talk to me a little bit about what happened in that boot camp, and because I want to report.
Well, I brought along two boot campers so that you can hear from the persons had not just the organizers of the event. But one of the things that stood out for me, and I want to thank CBC and Morning Barbados in particular, because I think you played a pivotal role in this, is that we saw a lot of non-HR practitioners show up for the boot camp. And I think that's because they've been following us in Let's Talk HR, and they realize just how important HR is. So the majority of participants were non-members, but we had a lot of enthusiasm about applying for membership, and we had strong representation from a designation that was coined during the boot camp, which is HR Curious.
Oh, I love it. I love it. One of who is Caroline John. Caroline, good morning to you.
Good morning, person.
Now, like you, I'm not an HR practitioner, but I'm curious too. So I'm sure that led you to be a part of it. What was the experience like for you?
Well, it was an exciting time. I would rate it as phenomenal. And as John said, I am not an HR practitioner. I was one of several of the attendees that aren't HR practitioners. And I think what caught my attention, not only that I was curious, because as she said, that phrase was coined at the boot camp itself by one of the presenters, but I was always curious about this field, this practice of human resources, being that I am somewhat into people management, but you know, HR is wide-ranging. So I saw the flyer and I saw all of the topics listed, and I was curious, and I said, this will be HR focused, but obviously it's wide ranging. You had topics like law and finance. And so I said, you know what, this is the event to attend. And so I approached my management and they said, yes, for sure, we'll cover the cost.
Nice.
But the event was amazing. It was amazing.
Nice. So what did you come away learning or knowing more about you and about HR? The practice of HR?
Well, as I said, I realized that HR is wide ranging and it relates to it's really the cusp of it all. I mean, when you think of management and people management within any organization, how can you not have an HR practitioner? And I came away realizing that HR in organizations, they're not as valued as they ought to be. And so I'm really thrilled to be a part of, I'm thinking of taking up membership with HRMAB, and I hope that they offer it to non-HR practitioners because, it's a pivotal role in any organization. And that was one of the things that I came away with. And the presentations were phenomenal. You had a presentation from PricewaterhouseCoopers on managing finance. And one of the things that I took away from that is how instrumental finance is to HR practices, and you would think that it only relates to accounting, but without the numbers, the HR managers I learned cannot make decisions that would relate to the business strategy of the organization. So that's one of the main things that I took away.
Oh, I could see on your face how excited you were then, how excited you still are.
Yeah,
Keep the energy up. Keep the energy up.
Thank you.
Gabrielle, about you now, because you're relatively young into the practice of HR yourself, and so what did the boot camp do for you?
Well, the boot camp really opened my eyes about the various areas in HR because I was always HR curious and I always used to say, okay, I want to be an HR manager, I want to be an HR manager. But the boot camp allowed me to see that there's so many different areas in HR that one can go into and make a wide difference in any organization.
So, of all of the presentations over the day and a half, which one stood out for
Mhm.
you as the one that you thought, oh my goodness, this was truly eye-opening?
As Caroline said, my eye opener was the Lisa Moore one when she was talking about aligning the numbers with HR. Because a lot of people might think that HR doesn't have to deal with numbers. That would be like in accounts or the financial controller job. But really and truly, HR has to look at the numbers, to go to the CEO, to ask for training for staff, to ask for compensation for benefits, employee engagement. So dealing with the numbers aspect of it was my favorite part of the boot camp.
You're relatively young in HR, and sometimes you just thought, let me just learn from experience. But now you've had an opportunity to have a somewhat formal experience now from this training as well. What advice would you give to others who are new to HR who are just not so sure how they should proceed their career?
I would tell them to join HRMAB. It is a network, and I believe that you should have a strong network system, strong support system when expanding your career. And HR seems like HRMAB, sorry, seems like the great place to start.
Joan, it must feel so heartwarming to hear these two young ladies speak in the way they have spoken about HR and about HRMAB and the services that you offer. How do you now feel hearing from them, those who attended the boot camp, about the boot camp?
Listen, we could not have asked for better. I mean, the extent in the room was amazing, and to read all the posts and get the feedback. And so, for those who were at boot camp and you haven't completed your evaluation form yet, please remember to do so, because our commitment is to continue to serve you and to take that service to an even higher level. So, it is so gratifying, Pearson, and to see that the appeal is not isolated to one category, one area of HR, but that people are developing an even deeper appreciation of the diversity that exists within our profession.
Indeed, and I keep saying it, I would have said it after every segment, membership comes with benefits. And you would have heard Gabrielle talk about the network, the support that is offered. I want to appeal now to those who are now hearing it perhaps for the very first time and thinking, I should have been there. I really should have been there. Those second thoughts. Talk to them a little bit about why they need to join HRMAB, why they need to join the network of HR professionals.
Yes, it can be very lonely in HR, right? Because you're sort of caught in that zone between senior management and the staff, where the staff think, oh, they're more loyal to man they are to us, and management may perceive that, oh, they have more the interests of the employees than they do of the organization, which actually is not the truth. But how do we then convince people and to show them how much value we as HR practitioners bring to the table? It's by bringing persons together to have this kind of dialogue rather than talking amongst ourselves. And so, I mean, someone like Caroline added so much value and will continue to add. So, for those who missed out, because we did get that feedback in terms of people who were disappointed they weren't able to make it. We had people who registered and then something happened at work and they couldn't get to the event. And so I spent a lot of time over the weekend thinking about, okay, how can we bring them into what, as you've heard from the ladies, was such a phenomenal experience. And what we've decided to do at the Committee of Management is to open up the Hoover platform to the broader audience. Before, it was restricted to persons who had registered for boot camp. But within the coming weeks, we're going to open up the platform. And why is this important? Because you get access to that amazing network. And folks are really sharing. They're sharing articles, they're sharing experiences, they're talking about different payroll packages, how it's been working out for them. They're asking questions and getting answers from subject matter experts and people who have been in the career longer. And so we're going to open that up. In addition to the networking, when we open up the Hoover platform, persons will get access to all the handouts from the event. So while you missed out on the live event, the resources are amazing. I myself was bowled over by the generosity of the pillar champions in terms of the resources that they shared with us. So we have a new product which is called Bootcamp Lite, because it's not the full bootcamp experience, but it will give you access to network that's there. And it's not just a national network, it's an international network, as well as the fantastic resources, frameworks, and other tangible products that you can begin to use immediately thanks to our generous pillar champions.
And all of this will be via the HRMAB website?
Well, it will be via the Hoover app, which we will link up to the website now that we're opening up, but it's going to be restricted access because membership does have its privileges. So either you become a member of HRMAB or you purchase the Bootcamp Lite access, which will give you access to the Hoover platform exclusively.
Fantastic. As always, I'm very proud of all the work that you've been able to do so far through HR and to stimulate the interest in human resources management and practice as well. And so the bootcamp has truly been a success. I wish you and your organization, Joan, all the best with your other plans, which I'm sure that you will reveal to us or will be revealed to us in time. But in thanking you, Joan Underwood, President of HRMAB, I'm also thanking today Caroline John and Gabrielle Francis, who are two attendees to the Strategic Partners Bootcamp hosted by HRMAB, HRMAB. And so we want to wish them much success in their future endeavors through HR.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.